Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now, this bit is for the parents, guardians, and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned. Welcome to this live chat facility tutorial. We have had a lot of questions recently about the chat facility and how to use it, so let's get into the video. The chat facility is built with students in mind, with a tool that doesn't need to be parent or teacher led. Each of our pages are linked to the person behind the broadcast, even after it's finished, so you can always ask your questions and get a response about the broadcast. So, let's have a look at how to use the chat facility. To use the chat facility, the first thing to do is to type your comment or question into the chat box. You can now enter your screen name. Your screen name will show when you type your question or comment. Now you will see the chat facility ask for your email address. As I mentioned before, each of our pages are linked to people from the organisation who can reply to your questions. You can enter your email address, which will not be shared with anyone, to get a direct response from the people behind the broadcast. If you do not want a direct response, then click the button at the bottom. People behind the broadcast can still respond to you if you don't provide your email address. This just means you may have to come back to the page to check the response. You can now speak to the people behind the broadcast and ask any questions you may have, or check out our partner pages to see the companies we work with who you can speak to right now about their current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now, this bit is for the parents, guardians, and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned.
Good morning and welcome to our rail safety broadcast for secondary schools and colleges. Trespass remains a real concern for the railway. Despite the current stay alert advice from the government, we are still seeing incidents where young people, and in some cases adults, are taking unnecessary risks on the tracks. To coincide with the U versus Train campaign, Wales and Western Route Community Safety Managers at Network Rail have worked closely with our partners, the British Transport Police and train operating companies, along with railway colleagues, to bring you a series of videos containing key safety information and home school learning activities. These messages are very important, so please pay close attention and please spread the message as best as you can to family and friends to help keep them safe as well. We'll be hearing a STEM lesson from these colleagues and their jobs within the railway network, followed by a series of U versus Train stories that you'll be hearing, and to finish off with a mental health video to ensure that you're staying safe in a variety of ways. Now remember, if you have any questions throughout this broadcast today, please leave them in the live chat facility next to the video player and they will get back to you as soon as possible. So to begin our broadcast, we'll be hearing from Tim Vousden-White, a community support officer with the British Transport Police, as he'll be giving us his do's and don'ts when near the railway lines and how to be responsible in those settings. So, over to Tim.
Hello, my name's Tim. I'm a community support officer with the British Transport Police. We're a specialist police force that covers the whole of the railway network throughout England, Scotland and Wales. We're responsible for policing the entire railway network. That's all the stations. There's over 2,500 of them, and that doesn't include London Underground, all the Docklands Light Railway, but we police those as well. And then there's over 10,000 miles of railway track, as well as all the depots, all the sidings, all the car parks and the shops and the retail outlets and the restaurants you see around stations, as well as on board the trains running on the network. I don't know about you, but I love this time of year. The clocks go back, the days get warmer, the nights get longer, and people start to go out and about. To be fair, you've guessed it, they do normally, but you know, things are a bit strange at the moment. Talk about a long school holiday. I bet it must have seemed a good idea at first, but I guess it's wearing probably a bit thin for some of you by now. Your guardians, parents or other loved ones must be getting a bit stir crazy as well. But social isolation is so important to us right now. Stick with it, and it will help. It's so important to help us get through all this. The trouble is, every year as the weather improves, especially during the school holidays, we see a huge increase in the number of trespass incidents on the railway. Currently, these are higher than they've ever been, with an average of 1 an hour reported somewhere on the railway network. Last year, there were more than 550 people caught trespassing on the railway, and most of these were children aged between the ages of 11 and 18. Even worse, over the past 10 years, more than 170 people have lost their lives trespassing on the railway, and almost half of those were under the age of 25. Most people don't even know, but trespass on the railway, which is going anywhere within the railway boundary that you aren't allowed, is a criminal offence. That means a criminal record for anyone who's caught. Fines go up to £1,000, as the sign says, and you can be arrested just for being on the railway. Now, I didn't know that when I was growing up, and I actually lived right next to the main railway line. Also, the age of criminal responsibility, which is the age you can be dealt with by the police, is 10. Were you aware of that? The big thing you all need to know is railways are really dangerous. They're not somewhere you want to play or mess around. You may have seen the specialist workers from Network Rail work on the railways from time to time. They're the guys all dressed in orange from head to foot, and it's really boiling in that weather like this. But they aren't even allowed anywhere near the railway unless they're fully kitted up. It's a bit like builders having to wear hard hats when they're on site. It's the law. They also have to be specially trained and regularly tested just to be able to work on the railway, and they also have to have someone watching out for them all the time they're there. We're the same. Every British Transport Police officer has to have the same regular test to allow us anywhere near the railway. Being on the railway is genuinely that dangerous. We work very closely with Network Rail. They're the people who own and maintain the railways to try and keep you, the public, safe at all times. Now, with so many miles of railway track and so many stations, we've certainly got our work cut out. Network Rail are continually working to improve safety where we've had incidents in the past, like broken down fences, gates left open, footpaths running close to the railway, things like that. The big problem is, as I said, we always see a sharp increase in incidents this time of year, and with so many people being at home, there are bound to be a lot of you exercising out and about where you live, and possibly near the railway line. One of our biggest problem areas is pedestrian or level crossings. These are places where footpaths or roads cross the railway. Network Rail is working constantly to close as many of these as they can, and they're not allowed to open any new ones. There are currently over 6,000 of these crossings, 5,000 of which are unstaffed pedestrian crossings, and although not always, they tend to be in rural areas. This is where a large number of calls come in from during the spring and summer months, with people misusing these crossings. I've been doing this job for a while now, and honestly, it's not just the younger people, it's adults as well. So if you're out with your parents, guardians or family members, they need to know too. If you do come across a level crossing, remember to use it sensibly. First of all, remove any headphones so that you can hear clearly. Next, put away your mobile phone or any devices so you're not distracted. Then look both ways to ensure there's no trains coming. If there is, wait for them to pass and then look both ways again. If it's clear, keep looking and listening, but walk directly across the railway track. Do not stop or wander off to the sides. Keep going until you're clear of the tracks. Then pass through any gate, closing it firmly behind you. The thing that amazes me is you wouldn't mess about on a road. Why would you mess about on a railway? Trains weigh up to 200 tonnes, and that's just passenger trains. Goods or freight trains can weigh much more, and to give you some perspective, that's like more than 130 large cars all charging along together. Trains travel at speeds of up to 125 miles an hour, or nearly twice the legal speed limit for cars on a motorway, and at that speed will take up to 2,000 metres, or the length of 20 football pitches, to come to a stop. They can't swerve to avoid you, but they do come from both directions, and especially if you're wearing headphones, you just don't hear them coming, even more so with the new electric trains. And there's another thing, electrification. For these new trains to run on the railway network in the local area, Network Rail have been busy electrifying the lines. You may have seen new overhead cables being installed near you. This is a game changer, not just for travel, but for the dangers to anyone trespassing on the railway. The electricity in these cables is never turned off, not even at night. It's on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And the amount of electricity is huge. It's 25,000 volts, or more than 100 times higher than the electricity in your house. Anyone who comes into contact with this much electricity will be killed or very seriously injured. And you don't actually have to touch the cables. 25,000 volts is so powerful, it will jump or arc up to 3.5 meters, just like a bolt of lightning, and it's genuinely frightening. Network Rail have had to make sure that any bridges, platforms or tunnels where you might come close to these cables have been altered by raising, moving, or in some cases actually lowering the railway lines to keep people safe. Like here, where this bridge has actually been completely rebuilt. It's another very real reason, if you needed one, to stay away from railway tracks. Railways are vital arteries, especially at the moment. They not only allow people in critical roles like doctors, nurses, care workers and local government employees, as well as police, amongst others, to get to work, but they also carry large amounts of goods on freight trains across the country. This ensures we're all still able to access the key services we rely on and to keep our shops stocked with the products we all need right now. Now, most of you will probably have been to a railway station at some point and may have noticed the yellow line painted on the edge of the platform. These lines are there to keep you safe when trains are moving close by. It's really important to stay behind this line at all times unless you're actually getting on or off a train. It's especially important in more rural stations like this one, where fast intercity trains pass through at high speed without stopping. The turbulence or rush of air these trains create when you pass by can actually knock you off balance, which if you're standing too close to the platform edge can have very serious consequences. So please remember to stay behind the yellow line. As soon as a report of trespass is received, trains have to be slowed down or even stopped until we can find out what is actually happening, who is involved and why. This causes havoc across the railway network and costs millions of pounds every year. Our railways are amongst the most congested in Europe, with trains travelling as close together as possible, tightly monitored by strict systems and safety procedures, especially where trains have to slot into gaps when joining the main line from a branch line. If a train is delayed, all this starts to fail and results in trains arriving late where they need to be and causes a rapid and far-reaching knock-on effect, all down to trespass, not to mention the drain it places on essential services like the police. And that's another reason why we're out and about patrolling and checking all these areas, especially now when it's more important than ever to keep the railways running without interruption. So please help us to keep you safe.
Thank you, Tim, for that important information that you gave us about the do's and don'ts of being on the railway. I hope you all learned something today, and please pass on the key points you have learnt to your friends and family. It's really important, guys. If you have any questions for Tim, please leave them in the live chat facility next to the video player, and he will get back to you as soon as possible. Now, the series of videos I'm about to show you will be telling and showing you real people's stories and how what happened to them can really affect not only ourselves, but the people around them. Let's take a look.
Oh no! He gives it away! Oh. Is anyone there? Come on, go over! Right, give me a leg up. Yeah. Ooh, no. Yeah.
Come on, Tom. Come on.
Oh, go on, Tommy boy.
Come on, Tom.
Come on, Tom. Go on, Tom. Tom! 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 Tom!
Tom! Tom!
Can I get your t-shirt over?
Tom, I miss Mum. I miss Mum.
Hi, I'm Nick Jordan and I'm the Head of Health, Safety and Environment Improvement at Network Rail. I'm here to spread the you versus train message to as many of you as possible. As you've just seen in that video, Tom Hubbard, when he was 16 years old, chose to venture onto the railway tracks and climb on top of a train in June 2014. He had no idea that that decision would change his life forever. Everything you saw in that video happened to Tom. On the night, he'd just finished his GCSEs. He accidentally kicked the football while out with his friends over the fence and went to go and get it. Whilst he was on the tracks, he decided to climb onto the roof of a freight train and was knocked off his feet from 25,000 volts of electricity. That's 100 times stronger than your supply at home. He was lucky to be alive. Here's an interview with Tom and his mum Siobhan, who tells us what happened next.
I remember the consultant the next day saying mainly because of the infection, he says the next 24 hours are crucial, he could die at any moment. When he got to the burns unit, there was so much burnt skin, what they had to do was take him to theatre and just scrape all the, to see the extent of the burns. So there's only so much skin they can use to skin graft somebody, so sometimes you have to have artificial. So his stomach and chest area, they used artificial until they could.
The physical injuries as a result were 57% burns to the torso, partially arms, and then partial neck. The implications after were just literally on every single task. It was just, you had to customise it for your own ability really again.
If the accident hadn't happened, he was very interested in engineering, and I think he would have pursued that. So he missed out the last sixth form, maybe uni, maybe college. It's not like breaking a leg or breaking an arm, or it's life. This is for life. You'll never recover from it. So, like Thomas was 16, he'll have this for the rest of his life.
That interview shows it's not only you that suffers with the aftermath of such an event like this, but also your parents and loved ones. They have to see what happens and what the effect might be on them. The video I'm about to show you next is a story inspired by true events. In this story, Dan's character decided to take a shortcut across the railway tracks to meet his friend. As he crosses the tracks, he was hit not by a train, but by the 750 volts of direct current from the electrified third rail. If you touch the third rail, it will suck you in and not let go until the power is turned off. Here's Dan's video.
Now, this is a beautiful sight.
Dan is free, cuz. Get yourself down here ASAP. Yo, G, I think I found it. I'll get you with you soon.
Powers off, safe to approach. He's on the third rail. Extensive third-degree burns.
Hello, can you hear me? Open your eyes if you can hear me.
Hi, sweetheart. My train's been delayed. Kids on the track, apparently. You're going to have to sort your own dinner, I'm afraid. Just give me a text when you get this. Love you.
Whilst there is no average age for trespassing, research shows nearly 30% of trespass incidents involve under 18s, with many involving more than one person and the vast majority being male. There were 22 trespass-related deaths in the 2000 to 18-19, compared with 35 the previous year. Although the death toll has fallen, the numbers of incidents are still increasing. This is the time to try and turn it around. The next video we will be showing is Tegan's story, and again, what can happen when you step onto the third rail. She was coming home after spending the day with friends, and she found herself on the wrong platform to catch the train. She ran across the tracks to get onto the other platform, not realising that the third rail was live with those 750 volts of electrical current going through it. Tegan was electrocuted. The power ran through her body, straight across her heart, and she went into cardiac arrest. Tegan's heart stopped for 7 minutes. She was left with third-degree burns over 10% of her body. She had to undergo a massive amount of surgery and therapy, which included having to relearn how to talk, eat, and walk again. And she still has many more operations to go. Here is her story.
We never expected that we'd get that phone call.
She made one rash decision and it nearly cost the poor girl her life.
We didn't know what was going on. No one would tell us anything.
For it to actually happen on your station, on your shift.
That day will never leave my mind.
I woke up, thought, oh, it's a nice day, I'm gonna go to the beach today. Me and my friend were on the beach, like having a laugh, having a little drink. I can't fully remember it, but we somehow got back to the station. My friend was on one side of the platform and I was on the other side. I don't know what I was doing on the other side. And I thought the fastest way was to go over the tracks. I ran onto the track just thinking nothing of it. I didn't know there was a third rail that was live. I was electrocuted and I had a cardiac arrest.
I saw Tegan wedged between the running rail and the electric live rail. She was on fire.
The electric had gone in through my left armpit and it had gone across my heart into my right arm. There was 2 men that helped me off the track and the lady, and she gave me CPR.
Just pumping her chest so hard and the smell of burning flesh. She was completely black.
I wasn't alive for 7 minutes. So the paramedics came, they airlifted me, and I spent 5 months in hospital. I spent 2 months in intensive care.
She was in an induced coma. She was in and out of surgery. We just didn't know what injuries she was going to have, like lifelong injuries.
I think intensive care was probably one of the hardest things I've ever been through.
She learnt how to walk again, how to eat. She couldn't really talk, she was just always smiling. She had to learn how to move her fingers and she had to learn to do everything with her left hand.
This is a bear that I got when I was in intensive care. My little brother LJ, he'd always come up to the hospital. Every time I was upset, it would remind me of him.
Her long-term injuries are just learning to move her fingers again and try and straighten her arm because she has loads of scarring under her arm.
I had to have so much physio to actually get my arm, and now I can just fully move it up.
She had to have a whole new nerve put into her arm.
Like my leg, so I've got quite a bit of a dent in there now. I've got 10% burns. They were 3rd-degree burns where I had to have skin grafts all over.
So yeah, she's definitely lucky to be here.
The accident has left me to deal with the really severe burns and skin grafts all over my body.
She covers a lot up that she's not bothered by her scars, but she has times where she does get down.
I feel like I won't be able to show my body again because of my scars, and I feel like I'll get judged, and I don't really want to be judged because people can be quite nasty about things. Just always think that no one was ever gonna love me again, like how they did before. And I'd always think I'm never gonna be like the old me again. Sorry. The way everyone helped me has made me realise that in the future I need to help other people as well. I'm going to be a psychologist for burns because I can put myself in their shoes and help them out. When I went back to the train station and I met John for the first time, it was so strange.
I admire you for coming down and do this. It must have been horrendous, but you're such a brave young woman.
It seemed like I meant so much to like a stranger.
Seeing her today has made me a happy guy. She is one remarkable young woman.
They saved my life, and without them I wouldn't even be here.
I'm so happy that I've seen you today. We're truly blessed.
I want to get the message out that there's dangers out there. You need to care for yourself and know that there's consequences for the actions that you do take.
Because it doesn't just impact you. One small thought can save all the pain that you can put yourself and your family through.
I want people to learn from my mistake, and I also want everyone to be aware and be safe.
That was Tegan's story. It just goes to show that the railway, whether it be on a line in the middle of nowhere or the railway lines in a train station, is a dangerous place to be, and not to be taken lightly. Dangers are both hidden and visible, and they are always present. These stories all tell us that we need to be sensible and safe while on or next to the railway, and what can happen if we don't. However, it's not just the people in the videos that get hurt. It's also the parents, their loved ones, and the people working on the railway that experience these tragic accidents.
Tom was killed. Tom was killed virtually instantly.
They'd set the camera up on a timer. Jessie then ran to join her group. She tripped and fell, and she landed on the conductor rail.
And his body was taken all the way along the track, and his body was not recognisable.
The train was approaching at 75 miles an hour when it approached Brian from behind, and he couldn't hear it because he was listening to music. Just by that simple mistake, he threw it all away.
She entered the railway from a level crossing and decided to walk on the railway line.
Emily turned and she fell, and the train came through and took her out.
Hannah slipped onto the live conductor rail. I personally hope for her sake that she died instantly, because if she didn't, it would have been absolutely horrific for her.
It's horrendous. You have a job to do, and you have to do that job. And sometimes you do remember certain incidents you go to. All I could hear was a mother screaming.
It's never pleasant, but I have a job to do, and you're trained to do it, so you get on and do it.
A sense of sadness, extreme sadness. Every time I attend one, I hope that this is the last one I ever have to attend.
I don't ever want to see my family look like that. Never.
You only get one chance, and you cannot mess around near to 750 volts, near 400 or 500 tonnes worth of trains in a very, very dangerous environment. It simply isn't worth it.
Never, ever, ever play around on a railway. It's a dangerous, dangerous place. I'm trained in it, and I still don't like it.
I've seen what a train can do. I've seen what electricity can do. And just devastation that will be wrought on everyone you know. So don't do it. That would be what I would say.
So, as you can see in that video, any incident on the railway can affect hundreds of people. You probably thought they were the parents that started that video, and it wasn't. It was railway employees, it was British Transport Police staff, it was people like me, who when these incidents happen, we have to get involved. That can be anything from on-site, where the person may be, treating them, seeing their injuries. Most of the time, our staff can be the last person to see that person alive. That's why it's really important that you remember the lessons from today. Share them with friends and family who you think need to know. And please stay safe in and around the railway.
Hi, my name is Bruce Sellers. I'm the signalling incident engineer for Network Rail in the west of England. My job involves managing safety compliance, but I also have an additional voluntary role of being a mental health first aider in the workplace. A rewarding role, never more so than now with coronavirus impacting on everybody's already busy and hectic lives. Mental health is a key part of everyone's well-being, and Network Rail are very keen to support their staff, which is good in this day and age. A mental health first aider really does what it says on the tin. Our training allows us to give confidential support and guidance in an entirely non-judgmental manner. That could be as simple and straightforward as being a listening ear for a colleague or a friend, or it could even be perhaps pointing somebody in the direction of professional help and support. If you may be finding life difficult at the moment for whatever reason, there is always help, support and advice out there. Just look online for mental health and you'll see you are not alone. Take care out there.
Thank you, Nick, and also thank you to Bruce for telling us all about how important mental health really is in these times and the help and advice that is available. No one is really alone, so please reach out and speak to someone, and please pass on that message to your friends and family. Now, if you have any questions for Tim or Bruce, please leave them in the live chat facility next to the video player, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. And remember, if you've missed any of our broadcasts, you can watch them back beneath the video player where they're all available for you to access. Well, that's it all now for Rail Safety Talk today, but next week we're back at 10:30 a.m. We will have Kat Ford, who is a student undertaking a year in industry with the Safety, Health and Environment team at Network Rail. She will be talking to us about what she's been up to during her time working for Network Rail, and you don't want to miss this because she's got some great advice how you can do the same as well. See you next week, and remember, stay safe near the railway.
current vacancies. You can also check out our careers page, which connects you to employers. Our live chat service is linked 24/7 to employers from a wide range of sectors, all waiting to hear from you. You can leave a question about how to produce a professional CV or how to prepare for interviews, anything work related, and one of our businesses will respond to you directly. You can also access a wide variety of live interactive broadcasts and video on demand with the live chat support on all pages. Now, this bit is for the parents, guardians, and teachers. The best bit about the live chat facility is that it is completely moderated, so you don't need to worry if your young person leaves a silly comment, as it will only show on their screen and no one else's. Another great thing about the chat facility is that it is GDPR protected, so no information is shared with anyone else. We will protect all email addresses and will never share personal information of the young people. If you have any questions about the chat facility or the Learn Live channel, please use the email us icon at the top of the page. Thank you, stay safe and stay tuned.